Hey everybody, it's Mr. K. Today's lesson, we're going to learn about the clarinet. Now, just like the flute, which we learned about last semester, the clarinet is a woodwind instrument. Now, for the flute, that meant that we blew across the top of this to get our flute sound. The clarinet works a little different. It actually uses a piece of wood to make sound, and I have one right here. It's this little thing right here. Let's see if I can get it into the camera. Come on, you. Maybe. Maybe I'll turn this off. Hang on. Let's see. Maybe that's a little better. There. Oh, almost. Come on. This. Okay, fine. This is called a reed, and it's actually a piece of wood. It's curved, or it's cut very, very thin. You can see it in my beard there. It's super thin. It's almost as thin as paper here at this end. And this end's a little bit thicker. Okay? And what this is it is what makes the air vibrate. When we looked at flutes, we were blowing across the top of the hole, and the air going back and forth is what made the air vibrate in the flute. In clarinet, this little thing is what does the vibrating. When I take that little piece of wood and I put it onto this is a mouthpiece for a clarinet. You can see that there's a little bitty space between where the reed is and where the mouthpiece is. And what that space is that's where I blow. And when I blow on that, it makes the reed vibrate back and forth up against here. Okay, so what we're looking at is this is the mouthpiece and this is the reed, and the reed is vibrating super fast, which makes the air in the instrument, in the clarinet, vibrate as well. When I put the mouthpiece on the rest of the clarinet, this is a clarinet, okay, you can see the whole thing. The reed, which is way up here, vibrates air all the way down the clarinet, all the way down here, and this is where the sound actually comes out, okay? And what's really cool about it is that these little silver things that are all over the place are the buttons that change the different sounds. Now, we went over this a little bit with the flute, but let's go over it on this one too. The sound changes when we change how long the instrument is. If I just have the mouthpiece right here and I take it off, come here, oh, I broke it, oh my goodness. If I just have the mouthpiece and I am only trying to play that, it basically becomes a big old buzz toy, which is a good way to annoy your parents. Okay, it's very, very small, and it's only going to play one note, okay? I'm not going to do it now. But if I add on this part, I make the instrument a little bit longer. And so the sound's actually going to go down. Bigger means lower sound. Smaller means higher sound. And then this part is the buttons, and I put this on, and what happens is all these buttons that are on here, okay, right now the instrument goes from right here all the way down to this first hole. And this hole lets the instrument know when I'm playing, or lets, the vibrations know this is where I want the sound to stop. This is where I want the note to be. But if I put my finger down over that hole, what happens is it actually starts vibrating at the next hole. And if I cover that one, it covers down to the next hole, and then all the way down the instrument. So that's how we change the different sounds on the instrument and get our different notes. Now, while this does start my sound, it has to travel all the way down my instrument and then come over all the way down the instrument to here. But the sound doesn't actually come out of the little holes. What they just do is tell the vibration, this is the note I want to play. The sound actually comes out of the bottom right here. This little part right here is called a bell. And all it does is it makes the vibrations a little bit bigger so that the clarinet is louder and can be heard, which is very important because when you play the clarinet, you're actually pointing it towards the floor, when you're playing. And so having that bell out there makes the sound louder so it bounces off the floor and out to the audience. Now, the clarinet is actually about a couple thousand years old, sort of. We know that the origins of the clarinet, or where it came from, are from a couple thousand years ago. It was in ancient Egypt around the time of the pyramids. It was in ancient Greece around the time of Socrates and Pompeii and all of that other stuff that would happen. But the clarinet we know now had its beginnings about 400 years ago during the Baroque period of history. So back during the Baroque period, what we got was an instrument called the chalumeau. Now you'll see from that picture, there's actually a bunch of different sizes of clarinets. And that's the thing, there's actually about 15 different sizes of clarinets that we see and use today. And those four there are sort of the beginning ones that we have. Now, you'll also notice that those have a few keys, and this has a lot of keys. Okay, I believe there's about 24 different keys in combination. Well, 24 different keys and about 300 different combinations to use on this instrument. And it can play a whole range of notes. In fact, it can play 4 or 5 octaves. The ones in the chalumeau, if you'll notice, only had a couple of keys. They could only play about 10 or 12 notes. What happens is, as time went on, we learned how to make our instruments better. Okay, you'll see that those were made of wood. This is actually made of a plastic called resin. And we've gotten to the point where we can make these instruments out of this plastic and they still sound the same as the wooden ones. But again, it took almost 400 years for us to go from that little chalumeau in that picture to our clarinet we have today. I have included some videos along with this one to show you the different types of clarinets that we have, okay, and then a little bit more of the older style as well. Please make sure that you take the quiz in Google Classroom with this video. Okay, if you need to use your parents' help, that's totally cool. I know there's some weird words that were said. And I will see you on your meet day. Have a good one.